Hey, everybody, welcome to the Daily Objective. And today we're going to be talking about a guy named Elon Musk, who you may have heard of. A lot to talk about today. Let me explain why I'm currently basically dying in front of your face. I got boosted the other day, the booster shot. The side effects are tearing me apart, but it's also, I will have no issue traveling to England March 28th to be with all of you there. So make sure you're fitting that into your plans. March 28th and that whole week leading up to Ayn Rand Con there in London as well. And then a special event on March 4th. A lot of ARC content is going to be live that week on the stage and social opportunities as well surrounding the events. So yeah, might want to do that. Get up at arcuk. Whatever the website is in the chat and down below. Hit the contact tab and contact the staff with any questions or concerns you have. Now, luckily here to discuss Elon Musk with me is a guy who is clearly immortal. This guy does not suffer any side effects, and he is going to carry us through this, I hope. Let's talk about Elon Musk. And here with us is really the next Elon Musk, in my opinion, Jonathan Hoenig.
Great to be with you, Rucka, on a really interesting topic. And when we think of Elon Musk, this is who we think of, right? I mean, this kind of guy from the future, products from the future, changing the present into the future. I mean, you remember this? Elon Musk launched a guy dressed like a spaceman into space, into orbit in one of those Teslas. And here's a photo too. I mean, this is what we think of Elon Musk, is exciting, dancing, celebrating his achievement, his wealth. And if this looks familiar, you might not remember this. It kind of reminded me of this guy, Bill Gates, all around the launch of Windows 95, dancing and celebrating. And just so I think there's a lot of parallels about Bill Gates and Elon Musk that I think and hope we're going to get into today. But you know, this is Elon Musk basically has been up until this point. Creator, innovator. I know he's mixed, and you know, we can, and I'm going to get too, you know, caught up in the necessarily incentives with Tesla, but here's a guy who's been known as a creator, as an innovator, you know, as an atlas, and now he's in the news for something quite different. He's in the news, as you said, for giving away $5.7 billion worth of Tesla stock to, you know, in a pledge basically he made to help fight world hunger months ago. So this is a big story and a big change.
Yeah. So he's excuse me. He's kind of like Bill Gates in a sense. I mean, Bill Gates is still very prominent, but Bill Gates is sort of ultimate prominence was in the 90s when he brought Microsoft, when he brought Windows, the access to the internet easily into people's homes. And that was sort of his claim to fame, and as well as what made him fabulously rich in the 1990s, Bill Gates, that is. But then what did Bill Gates get moral credit for? Well, not for creating all this wealth, creating all this value, not for being selfishly rational and enriching himself, as well as offering value to willing traders. No, it's for his philanthropic operations in the third world, which, by the way, we're going to get into how to really help the third world because it's very relevant to today's subject. So Elon Musk, like you just described, all the wonderful things he's done. And because it was selfish, because it was, you know, he wasn't suffering while doing it, he gets no moral credit according to the conventional morality of altruism. But as soon as Elon Musk starts to give to charity, now he gets some moral credit. But we know what that's even worth. We know that before long, people are asking, why only 5 billion? Why not 99% of what he's worth? Why not virtually everything? Why doesn't Elon move into a bungalow that cost, you know, $200,000 somewhere in the Midwest and give the rest of his money to elevating people that are starving, is what people ultimately are asking.
Well,
or they're going to ask.
And, you know, he was kind of dared into this. I mean, we'll get into, and, you know, also we're going to get into what Miss Rand has written about charity, but, you know, this goes back a couple of months where the executive director of the WPF, that's the World, you know, it's like the UN something World Foundation for something. Basically, he had an interview with CNN and he said that billionaires need to step up on a one-time basis. And he mentioned Elon Musk specifically. He said $6 billion will help 42 million people that are literally going to die if we don't reach them. And Elon, to his credit, tweeted back and said, all right, well, if you can tell me how you're going to end world hunger with my 6 billion, then I'll do it. And lo and behold, because he made the practical arguments, gee, we just need a better spreadsheet rather than the moral arguments. Lo and behold, they came up with a plan of how his 6 billion could end world hunger. And this is today's headline. He's given 5 million Tesla shares worth $5.7 billion, just as the UN wanted him to. And now, as you said, we'll talk about now he's a good guy.
Yes, for now. But Elon, beware the Ides of March is the saying. It's fleeting. It's always fleeting. All right. You can, when these types of friends, you win them over by giving them. It's like, think about, you're a kid and you just decide to give your toys away so that people will be your friends. Do you really think they're your friends? How about if you start going out into the street and giving sex, you're just giving free sex to everybody you meet so that they'll like you? You really think they respect you? You really think you really think they love you, Elon? I mean, you gotta respect yourself. You gotta create value. You gotta trade with people.
Yeah, and charity. And first of all, thank you, Marilyn. When you're donating in Super Chat, are you giving us charity? No, because you're hopefully getting something out of it. We're giving a trade here. So don't be a freeloader. If you're listening with us, if you're watching on the Super Chat later, send us a couple of shekels, pounds, dinar, rupee. Send us a little something. And like Marilyn, thank you. Michael saying that Elon Musk is a hero despite his flaws. He's donated millions to the Canadian truckers. He'll have a man on Mars. And Tesla stock has made him quite rich. Kathleen is hoping to visit Starbase later this year. So this is a guy who's done something. But now, as you said, he's created wealth. He's created wealth for people on our Super Chat. But let's think about what he wants to be known for now. He wants to be known as charitable. What did Miss Rand write about charity? This is quoting from her Playboy interview. Quote, my views on charity are very simple. I do not consider it a major virtue. And above all, I do not consider it a moral duty. There's nothing wrong in helping other people if and when they are worthy of the help and you can afford to help them. I regard charity as a marginal issue. What I'm fighting for is the idea that charity is a moral duty and a primary virtue. And I think that's the real sad part here, is that Elon has given into that. He's almost, I don't say he shrugged, but he's given into that idea that, all right, I've got to do my penance, by giving charity. And he's kind of given up, I think, that mantle of an Atlas into an altruist, unfortunately.
Yeah, like most people, I think Elon is a mixed bag, sort of grab bag of conflicting, differing philosophical beliefs. So at times he has tweeted, I'm actually a socialist. And then he goes on to say a bunch of incoherence. So most people, especially in kind of the world of tech and all of that, you see people on one hand, they're altruistic. On the other hand, they really love capitalism. They love science and, first-handedly pursuing value. So they're definitely a mix of conflicting beliefs and premises that, so like Elon, on one hand, he seems to be just the most first-handed person on earth who just doesn't give an F what anybody thinks. But on the other hand, look at him basically asking the world, oh, you want me to give this much money to charity? Sure, I'll do it. And by the way, I'm just happy to know that now world hunger has been solved, right? That was the deal. They said they'll solve world hunger. So right. That's it.
Well, by the way,
I don't even need to work. I don't need to spend any money. I'm going to be eating forever, no matter what I do, right? World hunger was solved.
Well, and the irony is that if to solve world hunger, Elon Musk should create a food company, or he should try to do something for profit. And again, Rucka, I think you're kind of noticing the similarities between Bill Gates are really apt. I mean, this is going back to some of those turn of the century cover stories about Bill Gates, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, busting Bill. He was seen as that, too rich and too powerful. And, then of course, as you said, he started his foundation and, now he's Time Person of the Year. He's Time, to those who left behind, giving a very, and then of course, 50 greatest leaders. These are all after he quit Microsoft and he, started so then he became the good guy. You talked about this, Dr. Brooks talked about this, and Elon is following the same damn course. This is some of the headlines from Elon lately. Don't Look Up actor says that Elon was his inspiration for the dangerous billionaire. Bernie Sanders, Musk should focus on Earth instead of space. The Bezos space race is a huge waste of money and scientifically useless. And they want him to be an altruist. And now he is. And let me just say one more thing. I don't follow Elon Musk too closely, but if you want to be amazed, go on, watch. This guy created a rocket that can take off from a pad in the ocean and then go up to space, then land itself by itself. And I'm telling you, Rucka, I often go into the mall. I can't find my car where I left my car. This rocket can find itself back on a pad. This is what he should be focusing on, and this is what we should be thankful for him about, what he's created, not what he gives away.
Yeah. And, Elon has tweeted back at Bernie Sanders saying oh, I forgot you're alive or something like that, which people cheered on. And I definitely had mixed feelings about it. On one hand, yes, finally someone is talking back to this sanctimonious wannabe tyrant that is Bernie. But also it's we need to have respect for the intellect. We need to make coherent arguments and state our positions clearly. It would be so wonderful if someone like Elon Musk, suppose on his way to being where he is, he had passed through ARCUK, passed through the Ayn Rand Institute, and whether or not he became an objectivist, but kind of picked up some methods of thinking that were different, that were a little more coherent, more integrated, and more rational, egoistic. Suppose it's possible today he would be answering people like Bernie Sanders and others and just saying look, my life belongs to me. I did not steal to get here. I did not use force to get where I am. And what I choose to do with my money is my business. And incidentally, it does help a hell of a lot more people than it would if I wasn't doing it.
I didn't even bother bringing it up because it's almost self-evident, but you go and look at that chart of the cost of space travel, and it's extraordinarily high under every government, and Elon Musk and those other evil billionaires come down and bend that cost of space travel down dramatically. Thank you, Roland. Roland says, I guess he's good now. He was awesome before. So Roland almost thinks he's a little bit less admirable. Thank you, Bonnie, for your contribution. Thank you, Matt, for your generous contribution. Really appreciate all of that. I mean, Rucka, we're among the few kind of saying this because in all moralities, it's, ex-objectivism basically now, Elon was, he was okay before, maybe to the green energy stuff was moral, but now he's a good guy because now he's giving back.
Yeah. So what would be a good way to help the third world is the real question. And very few people actually have an answer. So of course the answer is capitalism, right? That's the short answer, capitalism. And in recent years, in the last decade or two, you start to see even bleeding hearts like Bono from U2 start to say, yeah, I've raised all this money, however Irish people talk. I've raised all this money for them, and I'm starting to think maybe the market will help them.
No, I know that's not Irish. I'm not sure, but
something. It's something. But you should hear me sing. That sounds just like Bono. But he was starting to realize after raising all this money and sending all this money to Africa, even Bono started to say, I'm starting to think maybe actually liberalizing their economy, just actually allowing their property rights to be recognized and protected and them to trade amongst each other would actually elevate Africans more than Westerners sending them money, just like it's done that in India, just like it did that to a large degree in China and everywhere that elements of capitalism have been allowed. So the answer for the third world, like anywhere else, is capitalism. And a step further, and many steps further, is in order to have capitalism and in order for it not to be undermined by the culture, is an ethics of egoism, an ethics of rational egoism, like Ayn Rand's ethics. Because otherwise, we see every time countries, and we see this in South America over and over again, every time capitalism is given a chance and it elevates everybody up, then the altruist premise comes home to roost. The leftists, the socialists say, well, hold on, why are these guys so rich? And these guys over here are still hungry. And then next thing you know, you're looking at Venezuela and their zoo animals can't even escape from hungry citizens. God help us.
Yeah, I mean, if you ultimately wanted to help anywhere, like the third world, I suppose, basically you need to airdrop Atlas in there in whatever language they speak, like airdrop it in. That ultimately is basically the only thing you can do long term, and to do is change their ideas. I'm just so disappointed and frustrated that people do not acknowledge Bill Gates, Musk, the evil billionaires' contributions to life. They don't see that. All they see is the altruism. All they see is the sacrifice, and that's them becoming kind of moral. And Dr. Brook talked about this as well years ago. He said when he goes and speaks, and they're honoring some successful businessman, they talk about all the charitable endeavors. Oh, he started this thing with the children, and this thing with the help for families, and help for this. Oh, and also he was executive of a bank. That because a little bit about his business success, all this about his charitable success. And I just go back to what Rand says. Charity is a marginal issue. I don't think it's something to be such a virtual signaling about. I'm much more interested in, I think and it's right to be much more interested in what people have created, not what they've given away.
Yeah, another remark or another quote by Rand that I'm trying to remember is she said something like, don't bother me with questions like, is it like about giving a penny to a beggar? The question is, are you buying your life with every penny? Are you buying your right to exist by giving pennies to this beggar and to other beggars and just basically buying your life from them? No, obviously not. And it doesn't really help them. It doesn't, and it's not your moral purpose.
But doesn't this seem like what happened? Like the UN, basically goaded him into it. Said, oh, it's just going to take 6 billion. That's the penny equivalent, right? And that, he was able to buy the good guy status for a period of time, and someone else will come along and he'll, so that is that moral premise now that's really been breached. Thank you. Mary Aline says it's his money. He earned it. It can do as he chooses with it. But charitable donations are not what makes him heroic.
Right. And look at how the culture views people like Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders, despite the fact that he has a lot of money in the bank, I don't think he created most of it. I don't know if his wife is in business or what, but Bernie Sanders is seen as a hero because of how much he wants to give Elon's money to the poor or to whoever may want or need money. So that's how the culture elevates Bernie up. Even people that disagree with Bernie and think his policy is disastrous, even many of them still see Bernie as like well-meaning. They see, socialists as well-meaning. A lot of people see it that way. But once you see the ethical alternative to altruism, egoism, rational egoism, you can see that the motivation behind socialism and redistribution is not actually to help anybody. It is about taking money away from who did produce it and giving it to those who did not produce it. At the end of the day, nobody's going to be satisfied until Elon Musk and Bill Gates, move into the trailer park and live no better than their
stop producing and stop creating. And thank you, Robin reminds us of Miss Rand's quote. The issue is whether you must keep buying your life dime by dime from any beggar who might choose to approach you. It was the UN. Who's it going to be next? We'll see. And I just go back to that idea. I mean, Elon Musk isn't necessarily my style and type. I've never owned the stock, but think about the mind, the brain power to create something where a rocket out in the middle of the ocean can fly up into space, come back down and land itself right back where it started. I mean, this is amazing. And this is what we should be celebrating with Elon Musk, not the 5 billion. This heroic creator that is, changing the world. It's like when you see that, it's like, and that's not science fiction. It seems like it, but I mean, that is what he should be celebrated for. And I think that's not what the culture sees at all. That's derided.
Right. And you know, maybe a lot of people feel like him sending something into space doesn't really affect them. But how about PayPal? Does PayPal affect your life? Obviously, you know, Elon Musk, I think, invented it or worked at the company or owned the company that created PayPal, also known as PayPal. What else did he do?
I think it was
Tesla.
X.com was that. We're sure. But even if you don't take a ride on Musk's, space tourism thing, I mean, the innovations in batteries, the innovations in miniaturization, all the technological knowledge that goes into that, you will benefit from. We're all benefiting from right here, right now. And so
Yeah.
I want him to go out and make more money, and not spend his time appeasing the UN, as Robin says, from every beggar that approaches him, to get the kudos and to get on the Time magazine cover is,
Yeah. Yeah.
great.
The real challenge, I think, is that we're living in sort of a hodgepodge sort of intellectual state in the world. So especially, like I said, people in Silicon Valley and all these tech people, like, they pride themselves in not being committed to any philosophy or ideology, as they might call it. So a lot of people like Elon Musk, if we were to get him on the show, hey, it could happen, and we were to tell him, yeah, capitalism, reason, egoism, he might agree with all of it. He said, yeah, I absolutely agree. But then he also goes about his day and about his life also holding contradictory beliefs that sort of have elements of altruism and of, tampering with capitalism when it suits the greater good. So at the end of the day, we need so people, it would have been better for Elon Musk to come across Ayn Rand and to take her seriously when he was a lot younger. And, the children are the future, is what they say. At the end of the day, it's not going to be a 50-year-old guy like Elon Musk, I'm assuming, who is going to discover Ayn Rand. It's more likely to be teenagers, people in their early 20s, people in their formative years, who are inspired enough and committed enough to want to choosing the life that they're going to live, to really, really accept this philosophy and to take it seriously. Looks like we got another super chat. Speaking of the big bucks, Phil with £5 says, applaud his self-interest and wish it was me. That's his real heroism. It's just electric cars aren't realistic in sub-zero Scottish Highlands. Well, then the problem is sub-zero Scottish Highlands. We are going to be in the Queen's continent at the end of next month. We are going to bring the heat. And by the time we leave, Scotland will be at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is.
You got to develop your Scottish brogue for Phil. You got to tell Phil to come down to where you're going to be speaking.
That's right, Captain. All right. I guess we've basically covered everything. And given the fact that I am standing on my final leg with my booster side effects, we might be able to wrap it up here as soon as I read the announcements. At 6:45 UK time, which is in like 20 minutes from now, Rozzy's announcement with Keith Lockridge. They're going to be announcing something with regards to Ayn Rand Con, or the week of Ayn Rand Con next month. So make sure to catch that. Then shortly after at 7 p.m. UK time, for members only, the first session of ARCUK's Calumet K book club. Calumet K, you know that K, right? I've heard of that. Calumet K by Henry Kitchell Webster was published in 1901 and was Rand's favorite novel. 1901. So that's coming up at 7 p.m. UK time for members only. So all of you non-members out there might be questioning your choices in life, and it's not too late to make a correct decision now moving forward. At 8:30 p.m. UK time, James Valiant is going to be discussing To Dream the Non-Commercial Dream, the essay by Rand, published in The Voice of Reason. And then at 10 p.m. UK time, Kirk Barbera will be reading Tithonus by Tennyson, a poem from 1860. 1860. So that's all what we've got coming up. And one last super chat by Rat Lover for £20. I think philosophy is wonderful, and I think people of any age can take objectivism very seriously if they look at reality. Well, that's wonderful. All right.
And I'll just say in some final words, I mean, you're by those super chats, you're helping us bring this objectivism to people all over the world at every different level. I mean, from just maybe encouraging him to pick up, something from Rand for the first time, to kind of getting in Rucka with people like James Valiant, like Dr. Binswanger, like Don Watkins, who are really experts in expanding niche fields and aesthetics and metaphysics and epistemology and literature. So help us bring objectivism to the world. Rat Lover is doing it. I mean, he loves rats, but he also loves ideas. So become more like Rat Lover. Support the Ayn Rand Center UK. And thank you for being with us on the Daily Objective. And Rucka, it was great to spend some time with you as always.
You as well. And thank you all for your watching us and for your support. See you back same time tomorrow for the Daily Objective. And goodbye.